What other things have gotten better since switching to a different diet recovery strategy?
Well, I'm probably in the best shape of my life, really. In terms of like I said, I'm at 51 years old. I know my energy was a lot lower. I think my mood was a lot lower. And I think when your mood is lower, that doesn't help with your food choices either. And so that kind of lift it gives you. I mean, I remember at the time when I first started doing this, the first few days I felt like my energy levels went down even lower, and it was almost like my body was sort of saying, what the hell are you doing? We're not used to it. And I remember I got to the end of that first week, and I sort of just crashed out in the afternoon and went to sleep. But the next day I got up and I had this rush of energy. And to be honest, that has pretty much stayed with me, until now. You have more energy, and when I speak to others, especially people who've kind of gone through this, they say that when you had that, you come in from a long day at work and you just couldn't be bothered to cook, and you just wanted to put thing in the oven for 20 minutes or whatever. But now, because they've got more energy, they're able now to be able to go, well, look, I'm going to make better choices. And you do hear that time and time again. And the other thing that was great for me is that I can now cook. I could never cook before. Apart from maybe throwing a roast dinner together or something like that, that was pretty much my limit. Whereas now I realize there's nothing mystical about it. Anyone can do it, and you can do things that are quite simple. Whereas when I first started, I was following every single recipe to the T, putting in herbs and spices and other bits and pieces. And of course, now you start to get a little bit more confident, and I love that. I love the energy, and I love being able to cook, and I love being able to help other people find out themselves.
How much do you remember what your hemoglobin A1C readings were at their worst and what they are now? And how much weight did you lose total?
Well, my weight now is down to around about 13 and a half. So it sort of fluctuates between 13 and 13 and a half. That's stone.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that will be in
Yeah, it's
kilos. But
multiplied by 14 pounds for you guys that don't understand stone.
yeah,
So,
so is it about 85 kilos? I think.
well, then I have to do
But
another calculation.
yeah, I might have to do but it was about 3 stones for 14. So yeah, so
Yeah,
it was quite a
that's
few
fine.
pounds that I lost in weight. We had a different number, how we used to track things, so it changed halfway through. So I know when I first started, she said your number was 10, and she said, anyone under sort of 6 is going to be okay, but when you first came in, you were 10. And now, I'm sort of marginal between diabetic and normal. And I think, I've made even now, 6 years later, I'm making little tweaks and little changes to what I do, because I think pretty much we all do that. We start off it going down a certain route, and then you're making some changes as you go along. And I made a change recently, and that's has seemed to have lowered my numbers again. So now I'm getting numbers that in the fours fairly regularly, whereas probably a few weeks ago I was still getting sort of fives and early sixes.
And
Um,
and what
so
and
uh,
what was the change that you made recently, just out of curiosity?
Dark chocolate. I realised, I know you had Jen Unwin on here recently, and I think she talks about moderation, and how difficult that is for a lot of people, to actually say, well, to have that one piece of dark chocolate is never enough, and I can be one of those. So I need very much boundaries as to what I should be eating and what I can do. And if you speak to people in the low carb world, they'll say, well, dark chocolate, perhaps 85% is going to be okay. But it's not okay if you have too much of it. And just that one little change, I said, right, I'm not having it anymore. I'm not going to have that dark chocolate. And immediately my numbers came down another level. So you never stop learning. And so I'm 6 years into it now. So
Interesting. And so, just out of curiosity, your diet, what does today's diet look like for you? And the other thing, the critics would say, because there's critics that say the low carb diets are no more efficacious than other diets for improving diabetes, and they'll say there's a direct relationship between weight loss and your hemoglobin A1C going down, and it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you lose the weight. One, do you find it easier to eat less on this type of diet? Do you have better appetite control? And were you did you have as good of a result when you lost weight on a higher carb diet, perhaps?
Well, I did lose weight initially, and when I was first diagnosed, I lost weight, and yeah, my numbers improved marginally, but then they started going back up again. So I don't know what you can read into that. And the interesting thing I find speaking to um, other people in the same situation as me is that they don't necessarily need to lose a lot of weight for numbers to improve really dramatically very quickly. So I'm not so sure that there is a complete direct correlation between losing weight and the diabetes controlled or making those changes in terms of nutrition. So for me, typically now I won't have breakfast. Well, that was a completely unheard of for me. I mean, that was kind of the thing that I would do first thing in the morning. That was the purpose of getting out of bed in the morning. But now I find it very, very easy to go long periods without eating. So if I'm on the road, if I have to go and see, I know a client that might be a couple of hours away and traveling, um, in the past, I'd be thinking, well, where am I going to get food? Where am I going to eat? What food do I need to take with me? Now I'm quite happy to go hours and hours and hours and not really need anything. So it's almost like a bit freeing. So I guess I kind of move between having two meals or sometimes only having one meal in a day. And it is strange because it's like a habit forming thing that I think when I first started trying to give up breakfast, I felt hungry, but then it didn't take too long for my body to realize actually I'm not hungry now. I don't really need that food. In the same way as you wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night and go, I'm hungry. And your body can go 8 hours without needing any food. So why can't it go, 12 hours? Why can't it go 16 hours? And that's the sort of thing that I started finding out for myself really is that I could go longer periods. And of course, there was this, I guess, this concern that that if you're eating the carbohydrate, then actually you're eating lower calorie, and if you're eating the fat, you're eating sort of higher calorie. But the actual total amount of food that I'm eating now is a hell of a lot less than what I would have eaten before. So, if you look at it just from I don't completely believe in the whole calorie theory, but if you were looking at it, I would still be eating a lot less in calories than I would have done before because I don't keep getting hungry, which I think is the thing that really stops people when they're trying to hit health goals and they're just looking at counting calories.